Good morning and welcome to the Educational Summit featuring Dr. Demetrus Liggins, Superintendent Greenville ISD. This morning we're going to be talking about rally around reading, how it's impacted the school district as a citywide bilingual early literacy model for equity and success during COVID-19. So we're glad you can join us this morning. But before we get started, we just want to say thank you. Thank you so very much for the work that you've been doing during this unprecedented time that we find ourselves in education. As always, regardless of the situation, regardless even of a pandemic, we've always been able to modify, adjust, and perform to make sure our students are achieving at excellent levels. So thank you for the work you're doing in Texas. Thank you for the work that you're doing around the nation as we battle and defeat this pandemic, especially in the field of education. This morning, I want to introduce the outstanding people that you see before you today. Of course, Dr. Liggins, you see, I will introduce him later, but we have the CEO and founder of Footsteps to Brilliance, Eileen Rosenthal. We have the COO and founder of Footsteps to Brilliance, Eugene Narciso. We have our talented Chief Academic Officer, Kathy Maximoff, and my teammate and friend and educational consultant for Footsteps to Brilliance, Laura Calhoun. I'm Dr. Larry Lewis, former superintendent, elementary principal, and now strategic partner with Footsteps to Brilliance. I would like to take this time to introduce Dr. Demetrus Liggins. Dr. Liggins is the outstanding superintendent of Greenville ISD. He began his leadership tenure in 2017. Since that time, Dr. Liggins has transformed Greenville ISD from a struggling D district into a highly successful, innovative, and impactful B district with Rally Round Reading powered by Footsteps to Brilliance as one of the cornerstones of Greenville ISD's transformation. Dr. Liggins recently completed the National Superintendent Certification Program with the American Association of School Administrators. Dr. Liggins was one of 3 superintendents chosen from the state of Texas. He has been featured as an inspiring leader by the Texas Association of School Administrators and chosen as one of the 24 superintendents to watch nationally by the National School Public Relations Association. Greenville Board of Trustees President, Mr. Butcher, said Dr. Liggins is energetic, charismatic leader who inspires those around him to make our students' academic achievement a top priority. He is a gifted problem solver and communicator who is able to explain complex issues and processes with clarity. Dr. Liggins is bilingual in English and Spanish, which allows him to connect with our broader community. He goes on to say, with the challenges we are all facing as a result of COVID-19, we feel very blessed to have such a gifted leader at the helm. Today, Dr. Liggins will be sharing a national blueprint for creating a citywide bilingual early literacy model that was actually created before COVID, which allowed a smooth transition during COVID. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Demetrus Liggins, Superintendent of Greenville ISD. Good morning, Dr. Liggins.
Good morning, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am quite excited to be here today and really looking forward to sharing our story with you. If you don't mind, I'd really like to start by sharing the story of how we began. I actually started, today is actually, believe it or not, April 1st, my 4-year anniversary as superintendent here in the district officially. And I should have known when that was April Fool's. It should have been some sign to me that it was something was up with that date. But I remember my first meeting when I came in, and I began meeting with different community members and different stakeholders throughout our community. And I remember my first meeting when I went in and met the mayor and the city manager together. And I left that meeting feeling completely deflated and just completely beat up, to be honest with you. It was that all areas around us were growing. Things were going well as far as the businesses through from other areas surrounding us, but Greenville seemed to have become stagnant and was not growing. And the mayor and the city manager made no bones about it, that it was Greenville ISD's fault. It was the school district that was not holding up its end of the bargain as far as creating a full city partnership and doing great things. And therefore the city wasn't able to grow. The city's tax base was suffering. The city, Chamber of Commerce was suffering. It was a large problem. And it was all placed on my shoulders as the new superintendent. And so immediately, I realized that that was an important piece of my charge here in the district, because it was critical, it is critical that we have a great partnership with our city in order to have a great school system. And I also am a personal believer that the school system is the heart of every community. And so you have to have a great school system in order to impact change throughout the city. And so, although I didn't agree with everything that had been said by the mayor and the city manager, I did know that there were some issues within our district, and there were some things that I definitely needed to do as a new leader of our school system in Greenville ISD and in the city of Greenville. And so it was really a quite, from beginning. So it was quite the actual start, and a rocky start at that. It was started in the, I started in the 2016-17 school year, and immediately thereafter, quite a few things happened. We found out that we were a D district, that I came in April when testing had just begun, and when the results came back, we were at that level of a D. We also found out there were some financial issues that were happening, and the parents and community members were extremely upset. These are some of the comments from Facebook. I just sat through 3 hours of the GISD board meeting, and I really wish more people would come and see how competent and uneducated our board members are. And one person says, don't say I didn't tell you, but that we're in a sinking ship. This district's going down. And another one talks about her child not being able to get into college. And when she did get into college, she had to a junior college, she had to take all remedial courses. And so this was the overall atmosphere and the overall climate that existed. And we've gone from that, and since that time, to where we are now, which is an amazing difference, to where we were chosen by our local newspaper as the district of choice for the Reader's Choice in our county. Rally Around Reading made a huge difference. Have stories about that. Our businesses are donating money to our education foundation, and we're seeing that students are reaping the benefits of our program. And so on our social media, obviously, it's getting a lot better. There's been a parent group created to just support GISD, and then there's lots of other discussions that have absolutely nothing to do with how poor the school is doing, because it's become a non-issue because we have moved on and are doing great things thanks to Rally Around Reading. So how did we get there? The first thing I had to do was listen. And I had to really listen to understand. I had to find out exactly what was our community feeling and why were they feeling that way. Obviously, looking at the data, I knew that literacy and student performance was something that was struggling immensely throughout our district, and was something that had not been addressed appropriately for some time, and it needed to be taken seriously, and there needed to be approach to address it. And so I went and I spoke to several organizations and several people throughout our entire community. And I asked 3 questions overall. What are we doing well? What do we need to improve? And what is anything that we need to change? And overwhelmingly, our community was very, very consistent and stating that they just did not feel that our students were learning at the level that they should be learning. It was the overall consensus was that students who come to Greenville ISD are seen less than when they graduate from Greenville ISD because they didn't feel like they had a strong foundation. I heard from many parents who talked about the struggles that their kids had throughout the entire system. And so, and I've always, so you know, I've always and still am an individual and leader who believes in people, not programs. And I completely believe wholeheartedly that people make the difference, and that having a quality teacher in front of a group of kids will beat having a quality program in front of a group of kids anytime. But when I discovered Footsteps to Brilliance is what it was called at the time, and really started researching what it does and how it impacts students, it really made a huge impact on how this program, working alongside with the right people, would be perfect. And the right people were not necessarily just our teachers who had to be trained and had to have professional development, but it also went back to our students' first teachers, who are their parents, their guardians, their caretakers. And so that combination of the two was really an aha moment for me as a leader and for us as a district to move forward. So I wanted to ultimately change the culture and the climate within our district to get back. We are the Lions throughout, we're one high school town, and our Lions is our mascot. So we wanted to get back to the emergent theme from everyone is, I want to be proud to be a Lion again. So we wanted to get back to where that was. So once I discovered Rally Around Reading, had gone to the board to discuss it and to make sure that we had decided that we wanted to implement it and make a difference. And starting with that, we had to tell the story of how this program is transforming us and how it is going to transform. The great thing about this is about Rally Around Reading, and you'll see a little bit later, is we decided not only to implement it within our school system, but we had so many families who had decided, based off of their discuss with our schools, who had decided to homeschool. We had several churches that had begun to have their own homeschool systems in town. We have a private school that's been here a good while that their attendance had increased. And we had a charter school that was growing in attendance each year, all because they were taking kids from Greenville ISD because people did not believe that our instruction and quality of academics were up to par. And so I started going on the road and started telling everyone about this great program that we are implementing that is transforming our students at the very foundation of where we start, which is our early childhood through third grade. And I wanted everyone to take advantage of it, and I wanted everyone to experience it. So it just wasn't students that were still enrolled, but it was any student from birth to third grade throughout the great city of Greenville that could do it. So here you see me speaking to a local radio station as well as one of our local news channels. Called in the Chamber of Commerce and gave them the plan of, this is how we're going to make sure we're going to implement this system. One of the great things about this, and mind you, this was all pre-COVID, we utilized our Chamber of Commerce members to allow our students access to their internet in order to download the app. The app does not require you to actually have internet to use it. It does require internet to upload and download. And so at a time, now all of our students have internet due to COVID. But at the time, there were many families that did not have it, and we needed them. So every business that partnered with us, they have a Rally Around Reading sticker in their window, and parents know they can go in there, they can utilize their their internet and to upload and download their data and their apps. And the good thing is it's a dual benefit to our business community because many times those parents, while in there, they'll go ahead and patronize the business and spend dollars within that business. So it was a win-win situation for us. I brought in community members to really speak to them about what was happening. I also made sure that I called in individually all of those church leaders that had started their own educational services, our people who were our private school administrators and some teachers, called in lots of folks who were doing homeschool and the charter schools, and made sure that everyone was fully aware that this is available to you. This app, it's been paid for by GISD, but we want to transform our community as a whole. And we realize that there's different options within the school system and within our city for schooling. All the while, mind you, my main priority was to change the image of what people thought of Greenville ISD. And in order to do that, I had to reach our students and our children wherever they were at the time. So this was a very strategic plan in order to do so. We also went on and we launched a pride campaign citywide with Rally Round Reading at its center, talking about literacy, talking about making sure that every child was able to read on grade level by 3rd grade, and also implementing reading programs at every single level. As a principal, I've been a principal at elementary, middle, and high school, and I had always had an elementary reading person on those campuses because you always capture students that have not actually learned to read and have slipped through the cracks. And so did the same thing here and made sure that everyone was aware that we were going to be a district that focused on literacy, and that will ultimately what will bring us into to change our image and to change our the pride that existed. And so throughout our community, we began to see people begin to build pride in what we were doing. Our reputation began coming back. We got yard signs for different businesses to put in front of their stores, and people at homes would take it and put it in front of their homes. And so all based off of us starting to just focus on literacy and spread the story and share this city and school partnership, the image of what we were as a school district and how we were performing began to change. We called in we have a local newspaper who was at the time extremely critical of the school district. And we realized that a mass majority of our grandparents who no longer are seniors, no longer had children in the system, and they would hear about our school system solely through the newspaper. So we brought them in and talked to them about it, told them about their grandchildren and how they could use the app. And in fact, it's funny, we'll see an increase, especially during the summer times, where our data on Rally Round Reading will spike up immensely. And we get in lots of new names and lots of new participants. And come to find out, these were children who were visiting their grandparents during the summer and doing things, and they would really just having them, they so much enjoy the app that they would have their grandchildren do that in their downtime. And so we were a bit confused at first as why that was happening, but then we realized that it was based off of the fact that we had shared this program with our folks. And so we basically implemented lots of things that got us to the point to where folks understood great things are happening in Greenville ISD. And it all started with us focusing on literacy and starting a program that would impact our entire city and impact every student. Financially, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we had some issues. We fixed those issues. We went from that D rating to a B rating. in a couple of years. And we did that by believing in every child and, again, having that early foundation in literacy. Our public trust began to increase. We had morale began to turn around. We started partnerships with local universities, and everyone's idea of who we were began to change. And it all started with Rally Round Reading, which was the huge difference maker. And so we ultimately decided to create a video also that would show everyone exactly what it was about and how to use it so that it would be very well understood by everyone. And I'd like to take a few moments to just show you that video really quickly.
It's something a lot of parents know intuitively. Literacy matters, and it starts early. 90% of a child's brain development happens before age 5, and there's a strong connection between student achievement and literacy. In fact, we know that spending just 15 minutes a day on literacy makes a child's brain stronger. And literacy leads to things like lower crime rates, better incomes, and more connected lives. That's why Greenville ISD launched the Rally Round Reading program. It's designed for the entire community, not just GISD students. Based around the fun and easy-to-use Footsteps to Brilliance app, Rally Round Reading helps young children from toddlers to third graders prepare for success in school. There are daily activities for preschoolers, plus books and games that help school-age kids develop their reading skills. And it can be used on any smart device or a computer. The GISD School Board purchased the permanent rights to use the app, so there will never be a need to renew, and the app is free to all who download it. They just have to physically be in the city of Greenville. Want to sign up? Here's how to do it. First, go to myf2b.com/register/Greenville ISD. You can click the link in the description of this video to register. Second, download the free apps, Footsteps to Brilliance and Clever Kids University. Next, log into the apps with your username and password. Then download the books and games you plan to use. The last step is the best part. Have your child play on the app every day for 15 minutes and watch their literacy skills soar. These apps have won awards for using the fun of games to inspire a love of reading and learning that could last a lifetime. Rally Round Reading is really catching on. Since it launched in the summer of 2019, 238 students have spent 11,000 hours reading, writing, and playing educational games on the Footsteps to Brilliance app. They've read 121,600 books and have created 42,960 books of their own. Content is available in both English and Spanish. And again, this app is available to anyone in Greenville, whether they go to Greenville ISD schools or not. The goal is better literacy skills, which will lead to our whole community getting stronger down the road. For more information, email rallyroundreading@greenvilleisd.com.
And that particular video, it's a little aged, and you'll hear more about our most current data as of, hold on. You'll hear more about our most current data coming up in a bit. But that video is currently, it streams on, we have a local cable channel. It streams on our local cable channel for everyone to watch. Of course, it's on YouTube. You can access it on our website, but it is something that has really made a huge difference in the overall story of Greenville ISD, but ultimately at the heart of it, it's making a huge difference in the lives of children. And so to tell you a little bit more about it, I'd like to introduce the founder and CEO of Footsteps to Brilliance, Eileen Rosenthal.
Thank you so much. I actually am going to turn this over right now to our Chief Academic Officer so she could tell you a little bit about the kinds of literacy activities that students are getting, and as an educational leader, what Dr. Liggins is getting in terms of the data so that he can keep improving work in his district. So Kathy, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Perfect. I am so honored to be here with you today. I am so honored to be presenting with Dr. Liggins. That I hope you feel as inspired as I do in hearing more about Rally Round Reading. It is extraordinary what can happen when you have a partnership between, the kinds of resources and programs that families need and the kind of visionary leadership that Dr. Liggins has. And I can only imagine how hungry everyone was for that kind of leadership. And you can see the results of everyone stepping up. At Footsteps to Brilliance, we have this transformative model that we put together that we work with districts and counties and regional organizations, nonprofits across the country. Rally Round Reading is one of these initiatives, but we have initiatives that we work with truly across the country, even around the world, that are like Rally Round Reading. And they are based upon a model that we've built, a transformative model that we call the Model Innovation City. Our goal with the Model Innovation City that I am just so thrilled to see playing out in Greenville ISD is that we focus on kindergarten readiness and third grade reading proficiency in order to accelerate learning birth through third grade. And we do this in the model that Dr. Liggins showed so beautifully by both working within our school system and working with the students that are enrolled in our schools and the staff and the teachers, but also in this green area, we have a way to license our resources so that you can scale a solution to your entire community so that children who are not enrolled in district schools can also have access to these high quality literacy resources. And I'm so impressed with what you've seen before, but our vision is exactly what you just saw with Rally Round Reading, that you have outreach through libraries and social services, faith-based community, business partnerships, as we saw. We work with Head Starts and United's Ways, the Boys and Girls Club. Often we're working towards kindergarten readiness, but we can also work with private schools and daycare centers, wherever your students are, who are both feeding into your district and also a part of your broader community. And part of our transformative model is to have kind of a collective impact model where we can help you mobilize your community. We have the toolkits, we have the structures in place to help you create literacy ambassadors and a literacy collaborative of influential community leaders. We have a model that kind of defines what a community liaison might look like, so that if some of the things that you just saw are kind of big and broad, we can help you take the steps that you need in order to create that broader outreach into your community. At the backbone of our model is that our bilingual early learning platform, which again is really designed to scale early literacy to all of your students, their families, and your broader community. And so there are 3 programs that are a part of our full platform. We have Footsteps to Brilliance, that's our flagship program, and Clever Kids University, that's much more structured so that families can access it at home and have step-by-step learning that guides them towards kindergarten readiness and ultimately towards being a really successful reader. We also have a summer school program that can be accessed both as an in-class full comprehensive curriculum or as a virtual learning experience. So it can be accessed synchronously, asynchronously. We had such an incredible summer last year where we did our summer climb program entirely virtually, and the participation was amazing. We had students submitting their work with all kinds of books and things coming back to us, showing how excited families were about having a program available that was both motivational and just in time what they needed. Of course, as part of our platform, we also have data and we have a full professional learning community. And I'll get into a little bit more detail on these in a moment. Let's see. So we knew when we were founding Footsteps to Brilliance that if we wanted to if we wanted to change the outcome for students, we really needed to focus on the youngest ages, right? We know that if a student comes into the classroom not kindergarten ready, they're already on a trajectory that is really problematic. It is so hard to catch that up. And so in order to focus on kindergarten readiness, we knew we needed to create a solution that engaged our families. And when you engage your family, you have to be thinking about equity. And so all through our history at Footsteps to Brilliance, we've had an equity mindset. We knew we needed to leverage the devices that parents already had at home. And of course, we needed to address the fact that a lot of families did not have internet. Now, I know this last year has changed the game for a lot of us, and that schools are kind of changing how they look at making sure that everyone has the technology they need. But when you're thinking about creating a transformative model and continuing to engage your entire community, having a partner that can just scale learning with just, the flip of a switch, everyone's device within your community has access to literacy, it's a pretty incredible thing. And so our equity access includes a platform that really leverages what you already have in your schools and in your homes. We also made sure that we have very high quality curriculum. I'm not going to be able to go very in depth on this. And because, this is my area, I really love to show what's in Footsteps to Brilliance, but I want to make it totally clear that what we do is entirely bilingual, and we have a comprehensive kindergarten readiness. So imagine everyone in your community having access to a program that works on literacy, that works on mathematics and science and social emotional skills, that has aspects that are designed specifically to help your parents and your caregivers to really be the most effective they can be in preparing kids to enter the classroom. That's what we have with our Clever Kids University. And then of course, we've built that out to continue to the next step. So being kindergarten ready is great, but we want to make sure that children are actually reading. And so we have a very systematic reading program that is built to get kids reading books as quickly as possible. On day 4, they read their first book, and we make sure that they write about it as they're going along as well. So we have a comprehensive reading program that kids can do at home. And with Clever Kids University, it's just a day-by-day, week-by-week program. So it's very easy for both your parents at home, or if you're partnering with daycares or other private preschools, it's very easy for a paraprofessional to pick this up and go running with it and to start having an impact with your students. And then finally, we have our Footsteps to Brilliance flagship program, which is a comprehensive literacy program pre-K through 3. And with this program, we've really designed it to be structured in a way that's going to work for your teachers. So it's very flexible and can be aligned to your units of study and your core curriculum, so that students are working on enrichment and practice of what they're doing in the classroom, providing feedback to the teacher, and then it can be used in an RTI model to provide that tier 2 and tier 3 additional instructions. So with that being said, I want to jump in real quick. I'm just going to show you a little bit of the Footsteps to Brilliance program. Like I said, we're limited on time, so I won't be able to go through all of the different parts, but what I'd really like as a takeaway as I'm showing this to you is that you get a sense of our intentionality. As we build curriculum, it's not just fun learning games. We've really tried to build it in such a way that we get outcomes. We want to accelerate our students' learning. And so what I've pulled up here is just one of our books. It's called Holly Hides, and it's a book that's focused on vocabulary. We're aiming to help children learn about position words and words for places around the house. And when we have a book unit, our book units are organized in such a way that students start by reading the book. If you see this little star down at the bottom, and then they work on comprehension, and then they start applying skills in games. So they're going to work with some of the words that they've learned in the book, both to kind of build those words and work on the phonics and phonemic awareness around those words. They're also going to work on the vocabulary. And then ultimately, they're going to write their own variations of the story and write their own books. And writing is such a critical part of becoming truly literate. And so we've designed our books around Bloom's taxonomy, where we're starting really at that basic knowledge level, but ultimately we want children to synthesize and to be able to actually produce knowledge themselves. On that video, we just saw how many books the children in Greenville ISD have been creating, and how extraordinary is that to be participating not just as a reader, but also as a creator. All of our books, of course, are readability measured, and we have all of the things that you would need to do guided reading in your classroom if this was a classroom implementation. But I also want to just highlight some of the features when you're in any part of our program. So everything that we do is audio encoded.
We play a game of hide and seek. I count to 10 and I don't peek.
Now, hopefully Zoom is being friendly with me, and you saw that we sync up the voice and the text always so that our little emergent readers are getting a sense that words go from left to right and top to bottom, that words are groups of letters, that there are spaces between words. All of that is kind of built into the experience. Plus, children can touch any word.
We play.
Right? And they can go through and they can choral read right along with the text itself. You'll notice a microphone here where children can actually record themselves. And I'll tell you, this is a highlight. Again, any place that they can create, they create their own books, they record themselves reading, they do karaoke, sing-alongs to nursery rhymes. It's a wonderful way for them to be building their fluency as readers, to hear a model, create their own recording, and then listen to their recording is a really powerful way to build that. And then our illustrations help to build vocabulary and comprehension.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And there are fun little things that the children can find if they keep looking around in the illustrations. And these fun little things make it so much more appealing for children to come back and read a book again. I know I've been in workshops and with kids doing kind of model lessons. And I'll tell you, if they've read this book before, they're telling me, oh, make sure to click on the drawer, look at the light switch, there's something here. And it's so exciting for them. But the instructional value is that we are teaching our parents to do more dialogic reading. So we are often telling our parents, you need to read with your children 15 minutes a day. And I know there are a lot of initiatives that just send books into the home. But when you have digital resources like this and digital books, you have the ability to kind of show parents what good practice looks like. So when children can touch these illustrations, it kind of gets a dialogue going. Look at this, Mom, look what I found. And then the mom can, or grandma, or whoever the child is working with, can start asking questions about what do you see? It slows down the reading and it really encourages language. And for these early learners, language is so critical. I also want to bring your attention to this English-Spanish toggle button. So when I pushed the Spanish toggle button, did you notice that a lot of this interface around all changed to Spanish, plus the text is all in Spanish? We've trans-adapted our program between languages. Now, sometimes we've started in Spanish and we've trans-adapted to English. And in other places, we've trans-adapted from English to Spanish. And that's just to say that we've made sure that it's not just a straight translation, but it's culturally relevant, the word choices make sense, and it's really good, solid instruction in Spanish and in English. So we can be developing biliteracy.
Jugamos al escondite. Cuenta hasta 10 y no miro.
And all of the interactivity there is there in Spanish as well.
Jugamos al.
Right? So I can touch every single word and hear that word read aloud. Of course, I still have the recording feature as well. And the illustrations are still interactive.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And so everything is still there in Spanish. What we hear is when we go out and we do parent workshops, this becomes such a great tool for the parents again. So if my, home language is Spanish, I can be toggling between languages at any time. And we find a lot of times that there are parents that we're serving that are not really literate or not really comfortable reading with their child. And so having the ability to go back and forth between language, oftentimes the parents tell us they're learning the language right alongside their child. So I want to just reiterate, you know, this is just one of our very simple books. There are thousands of books and games and activities. You saw some of them in the video that Dr. Demetrus shared with us here as well, Dr. Liggins shared. So that's just kind of a sense of the kinds of resources that we're giving to our families and our classrooms when you have a Model Innovation City. And at the end of reading the book, the students, like I mentioned, have the ability to write their own book. So I always love to share an example. It's pretty extraordinary what students are able to do. This particular book came from a kindergartner, and you'll notice that the date is back in December, just a bit ago. Every Christmas time, over the winter break, over the summer break, spring break, we always do writing challenges and reading challenges in our Model Innovation Cities so that we can keep students learning even when they're outside of the school time. And so this particular book came back to us. A student submitted it for our challenge to receive a certificate. And it was an example of what she built out. But imagine when we are working in the program, the teacher is going to be collecting, and you will be able to have for any community member, any child working on the program, a digital portfolio of the kinds of writing that students can do and that they're capable of. So you're able to kind of capture their writing skills over time. And there's a whole host of different kinds of writing activities, from tracing letters right up to writing little books like this. So this is a sweet little book that the child has written. You can see some inconsistency and capitalizing and putting punctuation at the end. So you can see that she's kind of developing her skills as a writer all along the way. But you can also see that she's able to write a pretty sophisticated book using our program in a very, very simple word processing system. And most importantly, as you put together a Model Innovation City, you're able to have sophisticated data analytics. So our system has a whole set of data dashboards that you can go in and monitor the implementation. So you can get both school-wide plus community-wide engagement and participation, and then monitor students' learning. Imagine what it's like to know about students before they ever enroll into your schools, and to have a sense of how much, you know, kindergarten readiness participation they've had and how they're performing in the participation that they've done. And to really have some insight like that is really powerful. And whenever students are playing on our programs, it acts as a formative assessment. So you've got a continuous feedback loop. So if it's a teacher in a classroom, they're able to see at any point in time who's falling behind. But you can also see it at the district level, where there are patterns or schools or classrooms or grade levels where there are particular gaps that you want to really be focused in on. We, of course, provide flexible grouping reports to help our teachers be the most effective that they can be, identifying where there might be shared areas of weakness in the class. We also have reporting that monitors growth, and we can monitor that growth right down at an individual student level, all the way up to a class, to being able to look at it across different grade levels and demographics. But we have these kind of growth metrics that you're able to be looking at as well. And of course, if you're doing synchronous and asynchronous learning, we have all of the tools that you need to be tracking learning anywhere. And you can analyze and really see when our students accessing the program. And we see, because we've kind of broken those boundaries and broken down those walls, students are accessing the programs in the evening, accessing it during weekends, and you can monitor that kind of access. And that's one of the powerful things out of Greenville, especially, Dr. Liggins, when we looked at your data together, we saw incredible participation. That actually, right here, 23% of the hours of literacy are outside of the typical school day, on evenings and weekends and holidays, and that we were having a big impact on learning loss and gains through COVID-19. I will also say one of the things that we've seen across many of our implementations, but is so beautifully played out in Greenville ISD, is that families are engaged. We actually saw increased participation during COVID. And I think there was just momentum going into this, but having the right kind of tool and the right kind of partnership in place to really support this really played out for our teachers. So Dr. Liggins, perhaps you can speak a little bit to what happened as, as schools were closed.
Well, as you know, in the spring of last year, we closed abruptly and really didn't have a plan at all, like many other districts didn't. I mean, we went on spring break and never came back. And so for us, it was amazing that we had already implemented this, and our family and our community was familiar with it. And in fact, what we realized at that time is that we had a large, especially we came together obviously and started creating a system in order to ensure that our students had some sort of instruction from that March to May for last school year. But we also saw a huge increase from many of our parents who had chosen to homeschool and chosen to do other things, because they too, although they depended on certain community aspects in order for their curriculum, they realized this was something that was effective and was definitely something that could impact their students' learning. Also this year, what we found to be in our first year, where across the state, pre-K students enrollment is down simply due to, most folks say, if kids weren't in school already, their parents figured, why put them in school during the middle of a pandemic? Ours actually increased with our pre-K. And the amazing thing is our teachers had data like they've never had before. Usually our pre-K kids come to us completely with no data, and we have to figure out where they are. Due to Rally Around Reading, powered by Footsteps to Brilliance, 75% of our kids, we could look and we could say, this is the level they're on. This is, what their fluency is. This is where they are in their fine motor skills are as far as their writing abilities, and all sorts of things had really was in place that had not ever been in place before, which allowed us actually to hit the ground running instead of taking all of that time to assess our students to find out where they are before we can start teaching them, especially at that level.
Great. Kathy, I actually have something that I would like to talk about. Could you go to the next slide, please?
Let's see. There we go.
There we go. There we go. Dr. Liggins, first of all, let me tell you that we are so honored to be partnered with you. Your leadership has been transformational. Over 10 years ago, when we started Footsteps to Brilliance, we did it in order to eliminate the achievement gap even before it began. But we knew that the only way to do that was if there was a school-to-home connection and if all stakeholders were united under a central vision. And working with you, you've really created that national model. COVID hit, and what those of us who have worked in education have known for a long time, that the race begins when the child's in diapers. And if you can't get that foundational piece, by the time the child's 5 years old, frankly, you know the trajectory of their life. By the time they're in 3rd grade, if they're not reading proficiently, they're not going to be able to participate in the economic benefits of our society. COVID has really put a light on this. And so what we have decided to do, thanks to your leadership and hoping that as we bring this next cohort together, they can look to you for mentorship, is to set aside in Footsteps to Brilliance up to $50 million for Texas to create literacy equity in-kind grants so that superintendents, districts, board members, if they want to unite their whole community, will be able to do that in partnership with us. And if anybody on this call today thinks that this might be something they want to explore, we're going to ask you to just go to this tinyurl.com/F2B-equity and just let us know that you're interested. And we will, from there, bring together a team of people who are looking at where those 12 districts are going to be the most effective, where they have the kind of leadership that Dr. Liggins, you have shown from the very beginning. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who have questions for you, Dr. Liggins. So I really want to encourage the people on the webinar today to please write your questions and let us go ahead and address them for you. And I realize that if you're in the chat and you want to just grab this tiny URL, if you're interested, please go ahead and do so. But so far, by the way, you're getting a lot of people who are thanking you, Dr. Liggins, and saying that they've really been inspired by your presentation. Are there any questions that you would like to ask about, how this came to be, how you bring one of the big things that we find when we talk to educational leaders is that they're great at what happens inside the building, but how do you break down those four walls? So if you have any of those questions, please ask them now, and we'll let Dr. Liggins answer them. Dr. Liggins, it looks as though you have asked and answered. You have given such great information that I am not seeing any questions right now. Of course, a lot of appreciation for what you have been saying, but there aren't questions. Does anybody else on this panel have anything that they might like to say?
I would just like to thank Dr. Liggins for his time today. And I want to thank him for giving his community the gift of literacy, and that when COVID hit, he was already prepared and just took it to the next level. And that the students and families in Greenville ISD were the beneficiaries of his vision. So Dr. Liggins, thank you today, sir. And we really appreciate what you bring to the table for your families and what you've been role modeling for people throughout the state and the nation.
Well, and thank you. And I just like to say, this is a topic, obviously, I'm passionate about in general. Education is not only just my job, it's my calling. But we all understand as educators that literacy is the foundation of learning. And without it, we can't build upon anything, a stable foundation. And to be able to partner with you all and to be able to find a system that truly not only is effective, but it is something that seriously kids unfortunately have gotten in trouble for being on this app when they're supposed to be doing something else, because it is so much fun. They enjoy it so much, and they learn so much from it. The fact that 23% of this is done outside of school hours is a huge thing. And like I said earlier, during the summer, we see a huge spike of our community participating. And working with you all it's been so easy. And you've really made sure that we've implemented some best practices. And whenever we've had questions, you've been there. And so it's been a great partnership. I often get asked too, something I'd like to mention as to how did we come up with the name Rally Round Reading. You guys were from the very beginning to share the importance of this being a Greenville initiative, not a Footsteps to Brilliance initiative. And so we basically took on the title Rally Round Reading. There's a huge annual event in Greenville called Rally Round Greenville, which everyone goes to the town square, there's concerts, there's carnival, there's a band. And so this was kind of a play off of that. And so, so that's how we came up with the name. But it has truly been a partnership unlike no other. Dr. Larry Lewis has been phenomenal to work with on a regular basis. Eileen, whenever we've needed anything, and even help in the beginning with funding because we were having some financial issues. You're willing to work with us and get us to the point to where we could implement this in our community. And I will tell you, our bilingual population is thriving like never before. And we're seeing the gap close with our kids who are coming into the system from poverty versus those who are not. And we're really being able to see those kids in poverty performing at a level much more equivalent to that of their peers that are not economically disadvantaged. So thank you, and I highly recommend it, the program, to any superintendent or school district and school board who's looking at making a massive impact on literacy and setting the foundation that will truly last a lifetime for their students.
Thank you so much. Again, we are so honored. By the way, I see that there are a few questions about people who want this recording so that they can share it. And again, if you'll just go into the tinyurl.com/F2B-equity, just make sure that you mention that you'd like the recording, and we are going to use that to follow up and get people whatever they want. Let's see. Dr. Liggins, Dr. Lewis, if there's nothing else, would you like to, let's see. Dr. Liggins, would you like to I guess we're ready to thank everybody who participated. And we want to thank you for sharing what you've done to really transform literacy in Greenville ISD. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I have a video I would love to share with everyone to see where we're currently, how this program has transformed our community as a whole and how people are recognizing how we've changed who we are as a district. So thank you all for attending, and thank you all for taking the time to allow me to share the Greenville ISD story and how Rally Around Reading powered by the Steps of Brilliance have really helped with that. Here's the video.
Think for a minute about everything that makes up Greenville ISD. It's a lot to imagine in an organization that's growing, adapting, and improving. There are the students who come to school every day, ready for a challenge.
I am a future doctor, and I am GISD.
I'm a future engineer, and I am GISD.
I'm starting college early.
I am kindergarten ready. I want to be a vet.
I am a future airman.
I am nice to my friends.
I am a proud cadet, and I am GISD.
There are the athletic programs that inspire us to push our bodies and our minds to be better, faster, and stronger.
I am a lifelong coach. I am GISD.
I am an athlete.
I am a lady lion, and I am GISD.
There are the artistic classes that spark creativity and imagination.
I am the future rock star. I am an artist, and I am GISD.
There are the staff members who make everything run smoothly, safely, and on time.
I love driving a bus.
I keep kids safe.
I'm shaping the future.
I get kids to school on time.
I provide nutritious meals.
I am where the rubber meets the road, and I am GISD.
And of course, there are the talented and dedicated teachers who pour their hearts and souls into the classroom.
I am a teacher, and I am GISD. I am a 6th grade counselor, and I am GISD.
Yo soy una maestra de español.
I love to sing and dance in the hallways.
Proud graduate of Greenville and Texas A&M Commerce.
I love to take my students on incredible journeys.
I'm going to be a mom for the first time in September.
I love helping others.
I am persistent, and I am GISD. You're talking to a homegrown Greenville girl and Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2005.
This is my heart. I am GISD.
But when we imagine Greenville ISD, maybe, just maybe, we should think bigger.
I am a family medicine physician, and I am GISD.
I am a musician. I am a dancer.
I am the mom of triplets, a program manager at L3, and I am GISD.
The truth of the matter is, Greenville ISD is about a lot more than what happens inside the walls of our schools and offices.
I am a Naval Intelligence Officer, and I am GISD. I am the funeral director.
I am a comedian.
What we do reverberates through the world in a way that no other field can match.
I am a community mentor. I am a parent.
I love my kids, and I am GISD.
So when you think of GISD, yes, think of the great teaching that happens every day in our classrooms. Think of our award-winning programs. Think of the amazing things we're doing here and now. But even more importantly, think of what that means for years down the road.
I'm an offensive tackle for the Green Bay Packers, and I am GISD.
You make a difference in the lives of young people, and those young people make a difference for generations to come. It all starts with you.
Very inspiring. Dr. Liggins, if you will make us an honorary lion, we would be most appreciative.
Thank you all so much. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you everybody who came today. Hopefully
Thank you,
all of your
guys.
questions have been answered.
Thank you, guys. It was a blast. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.